My people always say that not everyone you smiles at has good intention, but sometimes desperation makes us forget this simple truth. Today, I want to tell you a story about a young woman named Adaeze who learned his lesson in the most unexpected way. Grab your popcorn, sit back, and let me take you on a journey that will make you laugh, cry, and maybe, just maybe, think twice before trusting strangers. This is a story of trust, betrayal, kindness, and the surprising ways God works in our lives. Are you ready? Let's begin. Adaeze was a 28-year-old woman living in Lagos, trying to make ends meet like many of us. She worked as a sales attendant in a small boutique in Ikeja, earning barely enough to pay her rent and send a little money home to her mother in Enugu. Life wasn't easy, but Adaeze was a fighter. She had dreams, big dreams, of owning her own fashion business someday. Now, let me tell you about Adaeze's character. This girl was kind to a fault, the kind of person who shares her last thousands naira with a beggar on the street. Her friends often warned her, Adaeze, not everyone deserves your kindness, so her friend Chioma would say. But Adaeze would just laugh and reply, Chioma, what if I'm the only kindness someone experienced today? What if my small gesture changes their life? Noble, right? Well, keep listening. It was a Tuesday evening. I remember because Tuesdays are when Lagos traffic decides to punish everyone for their sins. Adaeze had just closed from work and was waiting at the bus stop in Ikeja. The sun was setting, painting the sky in beautiful shades of orange and purple, but nobody in Lagos has time to admire sunsets when they are trying to get home before midnight. As Adaeze stood there, checking her phone and wondering if she should start working, a man approached her. He looked to be in his mid-40s, wearing a neat shirt and trouser, carrying a small traveling bag. He had a kind face, the type of face that make you think this person goes to church every Sunday. The man smiled warmly and said, Good evening, sister. Please, do you know where I can find a hotel around here? Something affordable. Adaeze looked up from her phone. She studied him for a moment. He didn't look dangerous. In fact, he looked quite respectable, like someone's uncle. Good evening, sir. There are a few hotels around, but this area can be expensive. Are you new into Lagos? The man's face brightened. Yes. I just arrived from Kaduna. I am here for a job interview tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. in Victoria Island. But my cousin, who's supposed to host me, just called to say he traveled unexpectedly. I don't know Lagos well at all, and I'm a bit lost, to be honest. He laughed nervously, and Adaeze felt her heart soften. She knew what it felt like to be stranded in a big city. Sorry about that, sir. Lagos can be overwhelming. What's your budget for a hotel? The man scratched his head. That is the problem, sister. I use most of my money for transportation. I was relying on staying with my cousin. I have about 5,000 naira left, and I need to keep some for transport tomorrow. Adaeze's mind started racing. 5,000 naira wouldn't give you a decent hotel in Ikeja. Maybe in dingy place with bedbug and no running water. And this is where Adaeze made a decision that would change everything. Sam, I have a small self-contained apartment not far from here. It is nothing fancy, but I have a couch. If you don't mind, you could stay there for the night, and tomorrow morning you can go for your interview. Victoria Island is accessible from my area. The man eyes widened. Sister, are you serious? Ah, God bless you. But are you sure? I don't want to impose. We just met. And Adeze waved her hand dismissively. It is fine, sir. I understand what it's like to be stranded. Besides, you have an important interview tomorrow. You need to rest properly. My place is small, but it is clean and safe. The man looked like he might cry for gratitude. Sister, I don't even know your name, but you have chosen me, the kind of kindness I thought didn't exist anymore in Lagos. My name is Mr. Emmanuel. Thank you so much. I'm Hadezi. Come on, let's go before this traffic gets worse. Now, you might be thinking, Hadezi, what kind of naivety is this? You just invited a stranger to your house, and you wouldn't be wrong to think that. But here is the thing about Adeze. She believed in seeing the good in people first. Was it wise? Well, we will get to that. They bought a bus together, and during the ride, Mr. Emmanuel told her about his life. He was a widower with 2 children in university. He had been working as an accountant in Kaduna, but lost his job 6 months ago when the company downsized. The interview in Lagos was his first real opportunity in months. My daughter is studying medicine, he said proudly. My son wants to be an engineer. I cannot let them down. I have to get this job. Adeze felt even better about her decision. This man was just a father trying to provide for his children. What harm could he possibly do? They arrived at Adeze's apartment around 8 p.m. It was a modest, self-contained room in a compound with about 6 other tenants. The room had a small bed, a couch, a wardrobe, a standing fan, and a tiny kitchen. Nothing fancy, but it was home. Welcome to my home abode, Adeze said with a smile. It is not much. It is perfect, Mr. Emmanuel interrupted, looking around with general appreciation. Sister Adeze, you are an angel. God will bless you abundantly for this. Adeze laughed. Amen. Oh, let me prepare something for us to eat. You must be hungry. Now, here is where the African hospitality kicks in at full force. Adeze didn't just offer the couch. Who? No, she went from full hostess mode. She cooked jollof rice with kitchen. Her last kitchen, mind you, and served Mr. Emmanuel like it was royalty visit from England. Mr. Emmanuel ate with such gratitude that Adeze felt tears in her eyes. When was the last time someone appreciated her effort this much? After dinner, they sat in the small living space, and Mr. Emmanuel continued to share stories about his life. He showed her pictures of his children, beautiful young adults with bright smiles. He talked about his late wife, how she died from breast cancer 3 years ago, and now he had been struggling to be both mother and father to his children. You remind me of my wife, he said softly. She was kind like you, always helping people, even when we didn't have much ourselves. Adeze felt a lump in her throat. She sounds a wonderful woman. She was, and you had to, Adeze. Your husband is a lucky man. Adeze laughed, a bit embarrassed. I'm not married, sir. Still searching for the right person. Mr. Emmanuel looked surprised. A beautiful, kind woman like you? These Lagos men are blind. But don't worry, your time will come. God's timing is perfect. They talked for hours about life, dreams, faith, and the struggles of making it in Nigeria's tough economy. By 10 p.m., Adeze was yawning. I think we should sleep now, sir. You have an early morning tomorrow. Let me get you a blanket for the couch. Thank you, my dear. You have done more than enough. Adaeze prepared the couch, gave Mr. Emmanuel a blanket and pillow, and showed him where the bathroom was. She then retired to her bed, separated from the living room by only a tiny curtain. Because, remember, this was a self-contained apartment, one room for everything. Good night, sir. Sleep well. Your alarm is set, right? Yes, thank you. Good night, Adaeze. God bless you. Adaeze lay in her bed, feeling good about herself. She had helped someone in need. Wasn't this what her fate taught her? To be kind to strangers. For in doing so, some have entered the angels unaware. But my dear friend, sometimes the stranger isn't an angel. Sometimes, well, let me continue my story. Adaeze fell asleep quickly. She had a long day and exhaustion took over. But around midnight, yes, exactly at midnight, something woke her up. She wasn't sure what it was at first. Maybe a noise, maybe a feeling. She lay still in her bed, listening. The room was dark, except for a small night light she always kept on. That is when she heard it, the sound of movement in the living area, soft, deliberate footsteps. Her heart began to pound. Maybe Mr. Emmanuel was just going to the bathroom. Yes, that must be it. But then she heard something that made her blood run cold. The sound of her bag being unzipped. Her bag that she had left on the small dining table. Adaeze's breath caught in her throat. No, this can't be happening. She slowly, quietly reached for her phone under her pillow. Her hands were shaking so badly she almost dropped it. She turned on the camera app and carefully peeked through a small gap in the curtain. What she saw made her want to scream, but she kept her silent. Mr. Emmanuel was standing at her table, going through her bag. In the dim light, she could see him removing her wallet. He opened it, counted the money, about 15,000 naira, which was supposed to last her until the end of the month, and pocketed it. But he didn't stop there. Oh no, my friends, he didn't stop there. He moved to a small wardrobe, opening it carefully, quietly. He pulled out the 2 dresses she had just bought last week, new arrivals. She had been so excited about it. He folded them and put them in his traveling bag. Adaeze wanted to cry. She wanted to scream. She wanted to jump up and confront him, but she was paralyzed with fear and shock. What if he became violent? What if he had a weapon? She was alone with no one to call for help in the middle of the night. She watched through tears as this man, this respectable Mr. Emmanuel, moved around a small room like a professional thief, taking a laptop charger, a wristwatch, even the gold earrings her late grandmother had given her. God, why? She whispered into her pillow, crying silently. Why did I trust him? And then, just when she thought it couldn't get worse, Mr. Emmanuel did something that shocked her, even more than the stealing. He stopped. He stopped in the middle of the room, holding her grandmother's earrings, and she saw his shoulders begin to shake. At first, she thought he was laughing, mocking her stupidity, but then she heard it. He was crying. Mr. Emmanuel stood there in the dark, holding those earrings, and he wept, not loud, theatrical crying, but the quiet, desperate crying of a broken man. I'm sorry, he whispered to the darkness. I'm so sorry. God forgive me. I've become what I never thought I'd be. Adaeze watched, confused, hungry, scared, and somehow feeling a strange twist in her heart. Mr. Emmanuel sat down on the couch, still holding the earrings, and began to talk to himself, or maybe to God. Daisy couldn't tell. My children haven't eaten properly in days. My daughter might drop out of medical school next semester because I can't pay her school fees. My son stopped talking to me because he's ashamed of what we have become. I thought if I could just get to Lagos, maybe I could find something, anything, but there is no interview. There never was. I lied. I've been sleeping in different people's houses for the past month, taking what I can to feed my children. What kind of father have I become? What kind of man? He put his face in his hand, and his whole body shook with sobs. Daisy lay in her bed, listening to this confession, and her mind was racing with its thousands emotions. Anger, how dare he? Fear, he is a professional conman. Pity, his children are suffering. Confusion, what do I do? And then, in that moment, Daisy heard a voice, not an audible voice, but that still, small voice that speaks to her heart, and it asks a simple question: what would you do? Now, let me pause here and ask you, my dear friend, watching the story. What would you do? You have just discovered that the stranger you trusted is robbing you. He's crying and expressing remorse. Yes, but he's still taking your things. He still betray your trust. What would you do? Would you call the police? Would you scream and wake up the neighbors? Would you confront him? Or will you stay quiet and let him take what he wants? Just graceful is not violent. Daisy had to make a choice, and the choice she made, well, it's either the bravest or the most foolish thing you will hear today. Maybe both. She took a deep breath, wiped her tears, and said a quick prayer. Then she pulled back the curtain and stepped out. Mr. Emmanuel jumped up, dropping the earrings. His face was a mixture of shock, fear, and shame. I was just, Sister Daisy, Sit down, Mr. Emmanuel, Daisy said quietly. Her voice was steady, but her hands were shaking. Please, I can explain. I said, sit down. Mr. Emmanuel sat, his head hanging in shame. He couldn't even look at her. Daisy stood there for a moment, looking at this man who had betrayed her trust. Part of her wanted to unleash all her anger, but instead, she surprised herself with what she said next. I heard everything, your confession, your tears, the truth about your children. Mr. Emmanuel's head shot up, his eyes wide with fear. Sister Daisy, I'm so sorry. I'm a terrible person. I know you are going to call the police, and I deserve it. I deserve everything bad that is coming to me. But please, can I ask one favor? Can you wait until morning? Let me send this money to my children first. After that, you can do whatever you want with me. I don't care anymore. Daisy walked slowly to the chair opposite the couch and sat down. She looked at this man, this desperate, broken, crying man, and she felt something shift inside her. Mr. Emmanuel, you lied to me. You betrayed my trust. You were stealing from me, from someone who opened her home to you, fed you, showed you kindness. Do you understand how that feels? Yes, he whispered, tears streaming down his eyes. I hate myself for it. I have become a monster. You are not a monster, Daisy said softly. You are a desperate father. There is a difference. Mr. Emmanuel looked up confused. Hadassah continued. I am hungry, I'm hot, I'm disappointed, but I also heard your story. I heard about your children, your struggles, your desperation, and I keep asking myself, what would I do if I were in your shoes? If my children were hungry and I had no options? That's no excuse, Mr. Emmanuel said, his voice breaking. There is no excuse for what I did to you. No, there isn't. But there is also no excuse for me to have so much anger in my heart that I can't see a fellow human being who's drowning and needs help. Hadassah stood up, walked to her bag, and pulled out her wallet, the one Mr. Emmanuel had already taken away from. She removed the remaining cash, about 8,000 naira, and placed it on the table. Take it, she said. Mr. Emmanuel stared at the money like it was a trap. What? I said take it. Add it to what you already took. Send it to your children. Feed them. Pay something towards your daughter's school fees. Sister Hadassah, I don't understand. Why? Why would you do this? Hadassah sat back down, and now tears were flowing freely down her face too. Because someone once did it for me. When I first came to Lagos 7 years ago, I was homeless for 3 days. A woman I met at the market took me in, fed me, helped me find a job. I asked her why I would trust a stranger. I know what she said. Mr. Emmanuel shook his head, unable to speak. She said because I was once a stranger who needed help, and someone showed me mercy. Now I pass it forward. So, yes, you betrayed my trust. Yes, you hurt me, but I see a man who is at the end of his rope, and maybe, probably, maybe showing you mercy tonight will change something in you. The room was silent except for the sound of 2 people crying, one from shame and gratitude, the other from the pain of choosing love over anger. I don't deserve this, Mr. Emmanuel finally said. I don't deserve your kindness. None of us deserve this kindness we receive, Hadassah replied, but we received it anyway. That is grace. That night, Hadassah and Mr. Emmanuel talked until 3 a.m. It told her the full truth, how he had lost his job, how he had tried everything legal, how he had reached a point where stealing seems like the only way to feed his children. He told her about the guilt that ate at him every day, how he couldn't look at himself in the mirror anymore. Hadassah listened without judgment, and then she did something even more surprising. Mr. Emmanuel, I can't give you much, but I can give you something more valuable than money. I can give you a chance. She spent the next 2 hours helping him write a proper CV. She called her friend who worked in a bank and convinced her to schedule a real interview for him next week. She gave him contacts of people who might need an accountant. She showed him how to apply for jobs online properly. You are a qualified accountant with years of experience, she said. You don't need to steal. You need a break. And sometimes that breaks come from unexpected places. By morning, Mr. Emmanuel was a different person. The shame was still there, but so was hope. Something he hadn't felt in months. Before he left at 7 a.m., he knelt before Hadassah. Sister Hadassah, I will never forget what you did for me tonight. You could have destroyed my life, and I gave you every reason to. Instead, you restored my dignity. I promise you I will never steal again. I will get a job, and I will pay you back every kobo plus more. Hadassah smiled through her exhaustion. I don't need you to pray back. I need you to pay it forward. When you get back on your feet, and you will, help someone else who is desperate. That's how you repay me. 3 months later, Hadeze received a call. It was Mr. Emmanuel. He had gotten the banking job a friend had connected him with. His daughter's fees were paid. His son was talking to him again, and true to his word, he sent Hadeze 30,000 naira, not just to repay her, but as a thank you gift. But that is not even the best part. 6 months after that night, Hadeze boutique owner decided to retire and offered to sell the businesses to her at a discounted price. Hadeze didn't have nearly enough money, but Mr. Emmanuel, who had saved diligently and received his end year of bonus, partnered with her. Together, they bought the boutique, and Hadeze's dream of owning her own fashion businesses come true. See, Mr. Emmanuel said at the shop's grand reopening, "God used your mercy towards me to bless you too. God saved my life that night. Hadeze, now let me help you build yours." So, what did we learn from Hadeze's story? Is the lesson to trust every stranger you met? Absolutely not. Hadeze took a risk, and it could have ended very differently. The lesson isn't about being naive or putting yourself in danger. The lesson is this: sometimes the people who wrong us are not evil, they are desperate. And while we must be wise and protect ourselves, we must also leave room for mercy in our hearts. Mercy doesn't mean being stupid. It means being willing to see the humanity in someone, even when they have hurt us. Hadeze could have called the police. She had every right to. But she chose to listen to that voice that said, "What will love do?" And in doing so, she did not change only in Mr. Emmanuel's life. She changed her own. But let me be very clear. This doesn't mean you should invite strangers into your home. Hadeze's story is unique. For every Mr. Emmanuel, there are 10 people with truly bad intentions. The wisdom here is to be led by God's Spirit, to be discerning, and when you do show mercy, do it safely and wisely. The real shock that night wasn't just what Mr. Emmanuel did, stealing from his host. The real shock was what Hadeze did in response, choosing mercy over anger, hope over cynicism, and love over fear. That is the kind of shock that changes life. Today, Hadeze boutique isn't thriving. Mr. Emmanuel is not just a business partner, but a good friend. His children are excelling in schools, and together they have started a foundation that helps struggling families in need, because they both remember what it's like to be at the end of their rope. Every person we fight is fighting a battle we know nothing about. Sometimes the stranger who wronged us is crying out for help in the only way they know how, and sometimes showing mercy to the stranger becomes the greatest blessing of our own lives. Thank you for watching this story. What lesson did you learn from it? Kindly share your thoughts in the comment section. Give the story a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel for more inspiring stories. Until next time, bye.